She stood in the checkout line, head slightly bowed, clutching a sack of rice and a can of soup. Suddenly, a teenage boy behind her whispered loudly, "Hey, what's wrong with her face?" His crones laughed. Another voice, cruel and loud, added, "Must have been in a fire war, a fight she lost." The woman didn't flinch, didn't speak. But what happened next froze every single person in that grocery store. The doors hissed open. A man in a wrinkled Marine Corps jacket stepped in. His eyes locked on her neck, and the moment he saw the faded Inca unit tattoo, old and nearly hidden beneath scar tissue, he staggered back like he'd seen a ghost. His voice broke as he whispered, "No, it can't be." Sergeant Hale. The air felt electrified. The teenager's snickering stopped dead. The woman turned slightly, exposing more of the tattoo. Her voice was calm but firm. Now, silence. Dead, bone-deep silence. The veteran, eyes glassy, dropped his shopping basket. Cans rolled on the floor. His knees buckled slightly. The weight of recognition hit harder than a bullet. He blinked at her, not at the scar, not at her clothes, but at the memory behind her eyes. "You pulled me out of that Humvee," he whispered Ramadi. 2007. Her jaw tensed. The teenagers looked confused, but the cashier stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time. "You're one of them?" the boy stuttered. "One of who?" she asked coldly. "You were a guy?" The veteran turned on him instantly. "Shut up! You don't know anything. That guy saved 12 Marines in the middle of a hellfire." The woman, no. The man she had become, stepped forward, pulling back her sleeve to reveal more ink, more scars. Names fade, bodies change, but war never lets you forget who you were. The moment cracked open like a shell. The boy's laughter shriveled into shame. No one dared make another joke. But inside, the storm was only beginning. Hall left the store without her food. The past was chasing her now. Not just the memory of war, but the memory of him. Captain Morick. The one she thought had died in that blast. But if that veteran was here, was he still alive too? Outside, the air smelled like rain and motor oil. Hale walked stiffly, her limp more visible now. Every step was a reminder of a choice made years ago. To live, to rebuild, to become someone new. Not just in name or gender, but in strength. But you don't walk away from Ramadi clean. You don't carry scars without a cost. That tattoo? It wasn't a decoration. It was a brand burned into the soul. And now it had been seen. Recognized. That changed everything back at her apartment. She dropped the key twice. Her hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from something worse. Hope. A cursed kind of hope. She hadn't spoken to anyone from her old unit in over a decade. Most of them thought she was dead or worse. Discharged, forgotten, invisible. She'd kept it that way until today. Till some veteran she barely remembered looked at her like she was a lifeline in a burning building. Was it possible? Could Captain Morick still be alive? She opened her laptop. I typed fast. Scanned names, reports, casualty logs. Nothing. But then an old forum post. Dated 6 months ago. Username, Reaper_6. Looking for former 3rd Platoon, 2nd Marines. Anyone who served Ramadi, 2007, need to talk? Urgent. If you're alive, respond. Her chest tightened. That was their unit. That was his call sign. Reaper 6. No one else would use that name. No one else could. Her fingers hovered. Then typed, "This is Hale, Corporal. I'm alive." Message sent. 1 minute passed. Then 2. Nothing. Just as she stood up, ding. A reply, "Meet me. Tomorrow. 1600 hours. Dock 12, Port Whisper." That place was an old smuggler's wharf. 20 miles out. Quiet. Isolated. Dangerous. But she didn't hesitate. The next day, Hale drove in silence. The city blurred behind her. Every bump in the road reminded her of missions, of dust and IEDs, of nights they all thought they'd never wake from. She kept her pistol in the glove box, not because she was scared, but because trust doesn't survive war. Not fully. She pulled up to Dock 12. It was empty. Seagulls circled. Water slapped the pylons below. Then footsteps. Heavy. Purposeful. In a voice she hadn't heard in 17 years. "I knew you'd come." She turned, and there he was, Captain Morrick. Older, gaunter, but still with that steel in his eyes. But there was something wrong. His arm was in a sling. Someone else was with him. A boy, no older than the teens who mocked her yesterday. But this boy had her eyes. Every muscle in her body locked. Her voice cracked. "What is this?" Morrick stepped closer. "He's yours. From before, you never knew." Hale staggered. The dock spun. She wanted to shout, to scream, to run, but all she could say was, "Why now?" Morrick's face was hard. "Because someone's hunting us. They know what we did. In Ramadi, they want it buried. And he's their next target." And just like that, everything she thought was behind her snapped forward like a whip. War wasn't over. It had just changed form. And the worst part, she wasn't sure she could. Protect them both. Not again. Not again. That phrase didn't leave Hale's mind. It dug in like shrapnel, twisting sharp, unforgettable. Her pulse pounded in her ears as she stared at the boy standing next to Morrick, silent, eyes wide, confused but calm. "That's his name?" she asked, her voice cracked with fear and disbelief. Morrick took a shallow breath. "Caleb. I never told him anything. Not about you. Not about us. I kept him safe. Until now." Heel stepped forward instinctively, a protective reflex she hadn't felt in years. "Why now? Who's after him?" Morrick scanned the docks, his jaw clenched tight. "Do you remember Operation Thorn Nest?" Her stomach dropped. She remembered. Everyone who survived remembered. That mission was a black file. Denied, disavowed. They were sent to eliminate a high-value target deep in enemy territory. Civilian doctor turned bomb maker, using child soldiers to deliver IEDs. The orders were clear. No survivors. But something went wrong. Horribly wrong. Hale had hesitated, had broken protocol. She remembered dragging a boy no older than 10 out of a burning building, despite commands to leave him. Morrick had covered her. Unit never filed the report correctly. They falsified footage. Said the building was empty. They buried it. Lie kept them out of prison. Lie haunted them all. They found the video, Morrick said quietly. The original. The one we erased. Hale's mouth went dry. Who? Morrick's. Eyes were dark now, not who. What? A contractor group. They call themselves Dagger Room. They clean up old war crimes era, records, eliminate anyone involved. Hale's blood ran cold. How close are they? Morrick looked at Caleb, then back to her. Close enough to follow me here. Suddenly crack. A distant sound echoed off the docks. Then again crack. Sniper Hale lunged forward, pulling. Caleb down. Morrick dropped beside them, blood soaking his side. I led them here, he gasped. I'm sorry, Run. She didn't hesitate. Years of instinct fired like a machine. She grabbed Caleb's hand and bolted, weaving between crates and rusted fishing gear. A bullet splintered a post inches from her head. Another tore through the wood behind them. She spotted an old stairwell leading beneath the pier. This way, she barked. They ducked down the steps into a maze of cold concrete and seaweed covered. Support beams. Her mind raced. She needed weapons, a plan, time they didn't have. Is he going to die? Caleb asked, breathless, eyes wide. We'll come back for him, she lied. Morrick was already fading when she left. That was war. You don't get to grieve. You move. She checked her phone, no signal. Of course. She found a drainage tunnel. At the far end of the lower dock, it smelled like rust and mold, but led out into the nearby shipyard. There, parked behind a warehouse, was a security guard's truck keys still in the ignition. She hot-wired it in seconds. Ordered. Caleb slid across the seat, still shaking. Who were those guys? She gunned the engine. The kind that don't leave witnesses. Gravel spat under the tires as she tore out of the lot. In the mirror, two figures were sprinting down the dock behind them. One lifted a rifle. She swerved. Glass exploded. Rear window gone. Down. She shouted. Caleb ducked. She took a hard left and disappeared into the alley grid of the city's old port district. 10 minutes later, they were in an abandoned parking garage. She killed the lights, killed the engine, and sat in the dark. Her breath came ragged. Caleb whispered, "Are you going to tell me who you are now?" She looked at him. "You already know. You were my mom." The words stung and healed. All at once I was. A long time ago. Before the surgeries. Before the war. Before I knew who I really was. He stared at her, no judgment, just searching. "Then who are you now?" She met his eyes. "Someone who's going to keep you alive." They moved again by foot. Hale had a safe house on the east side. An old contact from her mercenary days had set it up. No paper trail, no name. She finally let herself breathe. She checked Caleb for injuries, just bruises. He was quiet, processing. Then he asked, "Why did you leave me?" That question was worse than any gunfire. "Because I was broken," she said honestly. "I didn't want you to grow up watching me fall apart." He nodded slowly. "But I found you anyway." Almost smiled. Almost. She patched her arm. The wound from the dock hadn't bled much, but it ached. So did everything else. She was out of shape. Out of time, and worse, out of allies. Marek might be dead. Dagger Room wouldn't stop in the video, if they had. They could erase her permanently, not just her body, her identity, her whole truth. She opened an old encrypted laptop. She typed in her last military login. Denied. She tried the back door, still locked. She needed help. It's not from a friend, from someone who owed her. She clicked a name she hadn't seen in years. Madre. A hacker. Sane. "You still breathing, ghost?" The message read. She replied barely. "I need to find a file." "Oh, nest. Real cut." 5 minutes later, the reply came. That. "Files radioactive. Who's hunting you?" She typed one word. Dagger. The next message was a location. Warehouse 13, 2 a.m. Come alone. She shut the laptop, looked at Caleb. "You'll stay here." "No," he said. Firm. "I'm not letting you die without knowing who you were." She stared. He didn't flinch. "You're not just some scarred-up ex-soldier to me. You're my blood." Something in her cracked then. The armor. "Just for a second, okay?" she whispered. "But stay close. Don't talk. Don't run." At 2 a.m. they entered the warehouse. Madre was there, mask on, laptop open, 5 screens glowing. "Damn," she said, seeing Hale. "They really tried to bury you." "I need that file." Madre nodded. "I already pulled it, but they're watching everyone who accesses it. That means they'll be here in 10 minutes. Then give me the drive and disappear." "You sure?" "Just do it." Madre tossed her a thumb drive. "Good luck, Sergeant." Then she was gone. Hale turned. Caleb was staring at the screen's footage of her unit in Ramadi. Her face before. Young, female, scared, alive. "Is that you?" he asked. "It was," she replied. "But that girl died in that building." Tires screeched outside. "They were here. Dagger Room didn't knock. They killed first." Lay grabbed a fire axe off the wall. "No guns this time. Just rage. Stay behind me," she ordered. Shadows moved. In the windows, boots hit concrete. Caleb ducked behind a crate. Hale stood her ground. When the first man entered, she swung. The axe buried in his chest with a sickening crunch. Another came in. She grabbed his rifle before he could lift it, snapped his neck clean. The rest paused. One shouted, "We just want the file." She shouted back, "Then come take it." 10 minutes later, 5 men lay broken. One gasped on the ground, crawling. She walked up, pressed her boot to his neck. "Why, Caleb?" he choked. "Insurance." "He's leverage. You're not supposed to exist." She pressed harder. "Then forget you saw me." She knocked him out cold. Sirens in the distance now. Too much noise, too much blood. She turned to Caleb. "We move now." He nodded. He didn't cry. He didn't shake, he understood. Just like a soldier, as they drove away, Hale looked in the mirror. Not at the blood, not at the scars. At the boy beside her. And she realized something terrifying. The war hadn't taken her humanity. It had given her a reason to fight again. And that reason had her eyes. And that reason had her eyes. It scared her more than the men she'd killed tonight, seen herself. In him, same jawline, same glare when cornered, but he wasn't a soldier, not yet. And she wasn't going to let this world break him the way it broke her, not without a fight. The car rattled through an industrial zone miles outside city limits. They were heading toward another fallback spot, cold storage facilities she used when things got ugly. Tonight was already beyond that. She gripped the wheel harder, blood on her sleeves. A dead unit, a forgotten war. And now, this her past. Had a face, and it was sitting next to her, asking questions with his silence. He finally spoke. What happens now? She didn't answer right away. Then, flatly, we vanish. He frowned. 8. That's it. That's survival. But what about the people chasing us? She looked at him. They don't stop. Ever. They erase. Clean. Cut out roots. You don't fight them. You don't exist long enough to. But even as she said it, her gut twisted. That was the old her talking. The one who ran. The one who disappeared after transition, hoping to bury the blood and bone of who she'd been. But she had Caleb now. He was watching her, depending on her. That changed the math. This time, running wasn't enough. They reached the facility. Just before dawn, the sky was the color of lead. She keyed in the entry code, an old military cipher, one no one would ever guess. Inside, it was freezing. Metal crates stacked to the ceiling, smell of oil and ammonia. She led him to a small, insulated room in the back. Bunk, supplies, old weapons cache. She peeled off her jacket, wincing. You're hurt, he said. Waved it off. I've had worse. Shouldn't have to do this alone, he added quietly. She stopped, looked at him, really looked. He wasn't a child anymore, and neither was she. Then stay close, she said. But you listen. To everything I say, no arguments. He nodded. Deal. She started reviewing the thumb drive Madre gave her. The Thorn Nest file was all their infiltrated footage, satellite scans, tactical audio, the truth. It showed the lie they told, that they'd cleared the building, that there were no civilians, their hands were clean. But the video showed a girl maybe 8 years old running through smoke, clutching her dead brother. A drone mic picked up Hale's voice. We can't leave them. The audio ended in static. But the file proved they violated orders. It proved they saved people. And that's exactly what Dagger Room didn't want anyone to see. A new idea burned in her brain. What if she leaked it? Made it public? Burned everything down with the truth? What's on there? Caleb asked. Proof, she replied. Proof that we weren't the monsters they say we were. Then show it, she hesitated. If I do, they'll kill everyone I ever served with. They're already killing them, he said. You said it yourself. And just like that, the line snapped. She stood, grabbed a satellite phone and dialed. 1. Ring. 2. Then a grizzled voice. Who the hell is this, Sergeant Hale? I'm alive, and I have the file. The line went dead. Then came a second voice. Different line. Female. Sharp. If you're serious, we need to meet. 30 minutes. You know the place? It was an old rally point outside town, buried in the woods, near a defunct ranger station. She turned to Caleb. You stay here. He crossed his arms. No way. This isn't a discussion. Neither was bringing me into this war. Her anger spiked, but not at him, at herself. He was right. She opened a crate, tossed him a vest. Fine. But if things go sideways, you run. Don't wait. Don't watch. Got it. At the ranger station, 3 people were waiting. 2 men combat build. One scarred, the other twitchy hand. The woman who called, her name was Delgado, ex-CIA, one of the few who survived the purge after Thorn Nest. She looked at Hale like someone who'd seen a ghost, and wasn't sure if it should be shot or hugged. "You really have it?" she asked. Hale held up the drive. Delgado whistled. "You realize what you're holding can bring down half of DC?" Hale nodded. "Good. I'm done hiding. Then you'll need protection. Real protection." "I've got all I need," Hale said, nodding toward Caleb. Delgado looked at the boy. "Who's the kid? My son? Biologically?" "Doesn't matter," Hale said coldly. "He's mine." Suddenly cracked. A single shot. One of Delgado's men dropped. Headshot. Hale tackled Caleb. "Sniper." Delgado dove behind the jeep. "They found us." Hal pulled her sidearm. Return fire erupted from the woods. It wasn't just one sniper. It was an ambush. Full surround. Dagger Room didn't want to negotiate. They wanted to end it. Hale made a break for the rear fence. Caleb tight behind her. Bullets clipped trees, shattered bark, kicked up soil. "This way," she shouted, cutting through thick brush. Delgado's remaining man ran a different direction, vanished in gunfire. They were alone again. 10 minutes later, breathless and cut, they made it to a culvert pipe leading under the road. Hale shoved Caleb through, then followed. "They'll be tracking us by heat," she said. "We need cold shelter." Caleb pointed. "There's a rock quarry nearby. I saw it on your map." She blinked. "Good eye. They made for it." Hiding in a hollowed-out dig site, surrounded by stone and silence. Hallie collapsed against the wall. Her shoulder was bleeding again. "You need to rest," Caleb said. She closed her eyes. "No time for that." "Make time," he said, gently pushing her back down. When she woke, it was night. Stars overhead. Caleb was still there, watching, guarding, like she once had in desert nights far away. She sat up. "You stayed awake?" He nodded. "Didn't want anything sneaking up." She smiled, just barely. "You've got instincts." "I've got you," he said. And suddenly, she knew. She couldn't just leak the file. She had to own it. Step forward. Show the world who she was, scars and all. Not just a soldier. Just a trans man, but a truth teller. A survivor. Someone they tried to erase and failed. The next morning, she found a signal. Connected to Madre. Upload the file. It's full blast. Socials, Darknet. Press. Madre's voice came back, calm but serious. "You sure? You do this. You can't hide again." Hale looked at Caleb. "Good. Then do it." And across the world, the truth began to spread. And across the world, the truth began to spread. It started as a whisper and obscure video link posted to an encrypted forum by someone called Madraghost. But within hours, it hit darknet aggregators, military watchdogs, and anti-war sites. By noon, a major journalist leaked the link on a live stream. Then it exploded. Former operatives confirmed details. Background chatter on government servers spiked. Dagger Room went dark. Panic slipped into the halls of command. The Thor Nest footage had faces, coordinates, original timestamps, and an unmistakable voice of Sergeant Haleby for his transition disobeying a direct order to kill civilians. To the public, it wasn't a war crime. It was heroism. To the agency that buried it, it was treason. Inside the quarry bunker, Hale watched the chaos unfold from Madre's satellite stream. Dozens of officials were scrambling. Some denied the footage, others tried to discredit it by highlighting Hale's gender transition, calling him mentally unstable. One talking head on a news show said, "This is just a bitter soldier playing identity politics to stay relevant." Caleb punched the screen. "They don't even know you." Hale didn't flinch. They don't need to. They just need to feel pressure. That's what turns gears. But even as he said it, he knew this wasn't over. Leaking the truth painted. A target on them the size of a missile silo. And now Dagger Room wouldn't send teams. They'd send elimination squads. Madre called again. "You're trending," she said dryly. "Half the world thinks you're a traitor. The other half thinks you're a damn legend." "And Dagger?" Hale asked. "Ghosted. That's bad. Means they're regrouping, means they're pissed. How long before they find us again?" Madre hesitated. "Hours a day max. You need to move. Caleb leaned in. Then we hit them first. Hale turned. What? You said running doesn't work. So what if we make them run? For a moment, silence. Then he's not wrong, Madre added. If you go dark now, they'll hunt you like prey. But if you hit them, bleed them publicly, you flip the power. That night, they made a plan. Hale still had access to her old network. One or two X-Unit members who went off-grid became security freelancers or ghost contractors. She called them, some refused to answer. One laughed and hung up, but one resanswered. His voice was gravel and regret. You really did it, didn't you? I need one favor, Hale said. Coordinates their hub.
Nice.
The dagger base. Reese sighed. You'll die walking in there. Then let them try. An hour later, she had the location. A private black site disguised as an intelligence think tank just outside Denver. No insignia, no public footprint, and no civilians. Perfect. She loaded the gear, 2 suppressed handguns, a carbine rifle, EMP grenades, flash drones, custom IR masks. Caleb watched. What do I carry? She turned to him. Nothing, you stay behind. No, this isn't a fight, Caleb, this is a war. I'm not risking you. He stood straight. Then teach me. She saw it in his face. No fear. Not because he didn't understand danger, but because he knew what it meant to be hunted. And he was done hiding. She sighed. You get one? Jobby's on comes. Watch R6. No shooting, no hero moves. Deal. They traveled by night in Madra's stolen van, drove 12 hours straight, no music, no light, just the sound of the road and war building in their minds. At dawn, they reached the facility, a flat gray complex surrounded by forest, drones circling overhead. Their uplink is in that tower, Hal whispered. We disable that first. She slipped into the trees, moved like smoke. Caleb patched. In from the back of the van, eyes on the thermal feed Madre, rigged from satellites. 2 guards at the east door, for patrolling the lot. No dogs. Copy, Hale whispered, engaging. What followed was surgical. Silent takedowns. Quick cuts. Zero noise. By the time she reached the tower, 5 bodies were buried in shadows. She planted the EMP. Ready on mark, she said. Caleb responded, cameras looped. No movement inside. You're green. She detonated. The tower sparked. Lights inside the compound flickered. Chaos bloomed like a virus. Hale moved fast, using the confusion to breach the side door. Inside, corridors lined with servers, monitors, and armed agents scrambling to recover systems. She took one out quietly, then another. She found the control room locked. I need a breach, she said. Caleb replied, sending override. Hold got it. The door hissed open. Inside, 3 officers stared at her. One reached for a gun too slow. She dropped them. Cold, clean, no hesitation. She accessed the mainframe. Uploading final evidence packet, she told Madre. Make this permanent. Madre's voice crackled. Uploading now. But you've got company. For choppers inbound, not friendly. Hala set the system to burn after upload. Then we go out loud. She planted the last charge in the core. Ran. Met Caleb outside. We done? He asked. She nodded. Almost. The complex exploded behind them as they disappeared into the trees. That night, every news outlet on the planet played the leak. Internal dagger documents, kill orders, surveillance records. Everything. There was no denying it now. Dagger Room wasn't just rogue. It was a death squad sanctioned by silence. The footage was raw, real. The public outcry was immediate. Protests. Investigations. Congressional hearings. And amid it all, one name kept echoing. Hey, they hid in a small mountain cabin Madre arranged. Quiet. Safe for now. Hale stood by the window watching snow fall. Caleb sat nearby, flipping through old photos he found on her recovered drive. One showed her, years ago, mid-transition, shaved head. Bruised but smiling, You were brave, he said. Still am, Hal replied. You think they'll stop chasing us? He looked up. No, but I think now the world's watching. Or maybe that's enough to slow them down. Hale considered it. Then we keep moving, and we keep fighting. Together. Caleb nodded. Together. Suddenly a knock. Sharp, precise. Hale raised her weapon. Another knock, and a voice. Sergeant Hale. We're not Dagger. We're survivors. O opened the door slowly. 3 people stood outside. Former unit members. Real ones. We saw what you did, one of them said. And we're done hiding too. And we're done hiding too. Those words hit harder than gunfire. For the first time in years, Hale saw her own reflection in someone else's eyes. Not fear, not pity, not suspicion. Purpose. She stepped aside, a weapon still tight in her grip. Inside. Now, the 3 entered without hesitation. Mud on their boots, faces worn by years of running. One of them Lopez used to be her sniper. Quiet, lethal, dependable. Another Ashwin comes brilliant with a soldering iron, even better with lies. The third, nobody she recognized. Younger, taller, dressed like he hadn't slept in weeks. Name? Hale asked sharply. Morgan. I wasn't part of Thornest, but I saw what they did to the ones who were. Caleb stayed quiet, watching. Absorbing Hale, moved to the table, unrolled a map. Why now? She asked. Lopez lit a cigarette with shaking hands. Because you went first? You bled for this? And now they can't erase it quietly. So we figured. Maybe it's time to stop surviving and start striking back. Ashwin slid over a drive. We brought more communications. Blacklist names, offshore funding routes. Contracts signed by Dagger Room brass. They used us. Then they sold us. It's time to light up every corridor they hide in. Hale stared at the map. If we do this, it doesn't end with leaks. We'll have to burn the structure down to its bones. We know, Lopez said. Good, she replied. Because this time, we're not just proving what they did. We're going to make them pay for it. Caleb stood now. What's the plan? Hale turned to him, eyes sharper than steel. We're going to make them feel what it's like to be hunted. That night, the cabin transformed. Ashwin rigged Newcomb towers. Lopez set up a sniper nest on the ridge. Morgan scouted drone paths. Caleb studied with Hale weapons handling, escape patterns, field recon. She saw his hands tremble once when he reloaded. She didn't call it out. Real fear is healthy. It's frozen fear that kills you. By morning, they had a list. 8 names. The architects of Dagger Room, Hale, circled each one. We don't hit them all at once. That's chaos. We pick one, drag them into daylight, let them squirm while we prep for the next. They picked Admiral Charles Redden, retired, living on a private ranch in Wyoming, surrounded by private security that was anything but. Rumor said he was the one who ordered Thornest classified as a false op. We get him talking, Hal said. On camera. Public. Once that hits, the next ones will scramble. That's when we strike again. They traveled light. Madre arranged transport and armored pickup disguised as a livestock hauler. At night, they closed in on the ranch. Hale scouted the perimeter. Thermal goggles showed 12 heat signatures. 6 guards. 4 house staff. 1 unknown bigger than the rest. Probably Redden. 1 signature didn't move. Too steady. Sniper on the roof, Lopez muttered. I'll handle that. Nodded. You shoot only if I go down. Lopez disappeared into the brush. Silence returned. Caleb was breathing hard. You don't have to come, Hale said. Yes, I do, he replied. They hit at 4:27 a.m. Hale breached the kitchen entrance with Morgan. Ashwin jammed the internal comms. Caleb stayed in the van with eyes on perimeter cams. Guards scrambled, but the EMP grenade bought them 60 seconds. Hale found Redden in a den, sipping whiskey in a silk robe. You're dead, he said calmly. I buried you. Hale raised her rifle. Try again. You won't shoot me. You need me, she said coldly. I need your voice. She tossed a body cam recorder at his feet. Say it. Say what you did. He laughed. You think this ends with me? You're a ghost with a camera. I helped build the machine. You won't survive its wheels. Then a new voice came from the hall. Caleb, but maybe we become the machine. Hale turned. Caleb had entered without orders. What are you doing? She snapped. Finishing what you started, he replied. He pointed his own recorder. At Redden? This man killed soldiers. Framed heroes. Let civilians die. Redden's mouth twisted. Who's the kid? The future Hale said. And then she pressed play. The thorn nest footage played. Caleb stared at Redden. You ordered that, and we're not asking you to confess. We're giving you one shot to tell the world why. Or we drop your address to every journalist alive. Redden's lips moved. You'll never outrun the blood. You're right, Hale said. We'll make sure everyone sees it. He leaned forward. Start talking. And Redden did. He spilled names, details, timelines, even showed the location of a hidden facility used to train Dagger Room recruits. By dawn, the confession was uploaded. Within hours, global media descended on the ranch. Redden was placed under federal protection. But they all knew what that meant. He was dead within 36 hours. Poisoned tea. Suicide, they claimed. Nobody bought it. The world began to panic. Protesters lined federal buildings. Demands for investigations surged. Dagger Room's top brass fled public view. And inside a shadowed hangar in Utah, the next name on Hale's list loaded a pistol. Back at the cabin, Hale stared at the sky. We just made ourselves enemies of the state. Caleb stood beside her. Good. I never wanted to be a citizen of that state. Hal chuckled softly, then her eyes darkened. But it's going to get bloodier now. They won't send squads next. They'll send ghost units. People like me. People who don't exist on paper. And we fight ghosts with ghosts, Lopez said behind them. I got word. More survivors. They want in. People thought we were dead. Now they're lighting signals everywhere. Hale stepped forward. Then we don't stop. We go louder. We go bigger. We don't just take them down. She looked at the sky again. We erase every piece of them.